Hello, welcome back to the Emerald Knight Part 7. Like I mentioned at the end of last time, or I tried to, I was, coming up on the end really quick. I wanted to change I might change a couple of details, from last time. I wanted to change this quote here, mostly because that, the way it was before was came off as a little too calm and collected, or that he knew exactly what was going on, sort of thing. And it didn't quite feel right, especially, since the Black Knight killed his men, and so quickly, too. So I just wanted to change that up a little bit. And a couple other things here and there. On that note, yeah, I changed "this is personal" as well, because that seemed a little too much. Like I said, like a little too much. Like you knew exactly what was going on, sort of thing, and I didn't feel like that was right. But on the subject of changing these details, adding a little more or whatever, in this part, there's a great lack of referencing the Black Knight's height, or his girth, his size, power. I mean, there's kind of an allusion to it in the way they fight each other, but I feel like there just isn't quite enough of it to really get a sense of how big and strong the Black Knight is. I mean, he's like twice the size. It comes off as like twice the size of Coal Eyes, especially with his armor. So he's big. Mm-hmm. uh, but most of this part is fighting choreography, and that was really tough. Because, well, for one thing, I didn't want just like flurries of attacks, uh, like you see in anime a lot. When two characters are fighting each other, there's like flurry of sword attacks or punching, whatever. Um, I mean, I don't really got anything against it, but I didn't personally want that, especially since this ain't an anime and people have stamina. And they're lugging around their weapons and their armor and moving around and everything. But I just didn't want a flurry of attacks, like especially since it's like a one-on-one battle. And from what I understand, knights, at least knights back in the medieval times, they would start learning to fight like when they were like 7 years old. They would start taking up, I don't know if it was like a training sword or what, but they would like start pretty young, start learning how to fight pretty young, so they'd get that shit. Oops. I guess I gotta bleep that out. They'd get that like in their they get the fighting like in their DNA, you know what I mean? So like, all this fighting choreography is like really uh, uh like dancing, like very particular movement and pointed movement. Everything they do is on purpose. I mean, sounds obvious, but like I wanted to really see all of this obvious stuff. I wanted to know what they were. I wanted to be able to see what they were doing. And Cole Eyes, I feel kind of like he fell a little too easy, but especially since he's like a captain, and maybe he has been training since he was 7 or something. But at the same time, he's probably never fought somebody like the Black Knight, someone who's so big and strong, like with such a height advantage and strength advantage over him. So there is that. Maybe he was, just repeatedly caught off guard, or just didn't really know how to handle the Black Knight. But I mean, that sort of thing, that wasn't really communicated. I don't think that was communicated well enough, that sort of thing, especially because like the Black Knight, I didn't reference the Black Knight's height and strength too much or enough to really have that come off that way. But I do like the uniqueness of each bout between the Black Knight and Cole Eyes, and how Cole Eyes ends up on his butt every time, each time. I like that. It's pretty unique. I think that's pretty good. Something to really revise and make nice, make a lot nicer in revision. But something like this, like fighting choreography, that I feel like is really what I'm wanting to see anyway. Should be like really particular, or what they do, their actions that they take should really communicate to the reader, like, these people know what they're doing. These individuals got this stuff like in their blood, like I said. And in order to do that, I feel like I would have to take a lot more time to really like blueprint it. I mean, this is the blueprint, but I don't know, just to make a little more relatable, like meaningful in their actions, and that they know that what they're doing. I'm just going back and forth. Anyway, the only prior other than that knowledge of like, oh, knights started training when they were like 7 or something, other than that, like, really the only reason I know any sort of fighting choreography or terminology is because of when I used to do theater. I was in a couple of plays that implemented sword fighting, Romeo and Juliet especially, and we took classes on sword fighting, all of us together, like in a line, and we'd practice over and over again. Advance, retreat, parry, thrust, slash. And that was really interesting and fun. But that's really the only reason why I have like superficial knowledge of fighting terminology, sword fighting terminology anyway. I like that the Black Knight laughed at Cole Eyes. I think that already passed by, but I like that he laughed at him. No, I think he laughs at him right around here. Yeah. I like that he laughs at him. Like, that it's not hearty, or that, nor that it makes the Black Knight, jiggle around with, like Santa. uh, gives a sort of, like a sort of a characterization, like, oh, maybe they're not doing it because they think this situation is funny. Maybe there's another purpose for it. And I think maybe I haven't had a thing for the word vomit this part, because I use it like 2 or 3 times. No, I don't have a fetish, no. But I don't know what I'm saying. No, this the finisher. For the finisher, I'm gonna be real and tell you that in my mind, I had in my mind a finishing move from God of War, the first one from 2005, and it's in God of War 2 as well. But in the first game, there are satyrs, and the finishing grab move on them is Kratos does, like, he has his blades, so he does like an uppercut, like a blade uppercut, and knocks the satyr on the ground on his back. And the satyrs, they have this like staff with blades on either end of it. And so after Kratos does the uppercut and the satyr lands on his back, Kratos steps forward and like steps on the staff, and it kicks up like a skateboard, twirls in the air, and grabs it and just brings it down into their gut. And that's what I had in mind for taking out this guy. And I enjoy it. I really do. I really like it. I think it's a fitting end for this guy. Now, I'm not 100% sure if, the pike end of a halberd can really penetrate armor. I mean, with enough force, surely. I don't know if, like, a normal person could be able to do it. But if anything, it can show that's one of the things that could possibly show the Black Knight's strength, how strong they are. I really like that Aranthus throws up on Coal Eyes. I mean, I would believe it, like, getting kneed in the face, like like when you get hit hard enough by something, you just sometimes you just don't even say anything, or you don't even scream. You just feel all the pain, and it just makes you really nauseated, right? There's that, like, she got kneed in the face, and then there's all this other stuff that happened. And yeah, I would totally believe it. And it's like the cherry on top, He gets stabbed to death, and then he gets thrown up on. It's pretty good. Oh, from like around this point, from when the Black Knight is putting their sword back on their person, to like the end of this part, I'm kind of iffy on it. mostly because of how the Black Knight is acting. I like, while it's kind that's probably my best quote ever, but but the Black Knight, the way they're acting up until the end, I'm kind of iffy about it because I don't think it quite fits with the character I'm wanting to create with them. So I might change this part up a little bit too, maybe even more so. Um, there's a quote by the Black Knight at the end of this that while it's that's right here, while it's very different, you see all the parentheses, like that shows how concerned I am with it. Um, how can I'm just, while it's different and interesting, I don't think it quite fits the character. But anyway, that's all I have time for this part. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.